production externalities arise when the social costs of production differ from the private costs of production. We've talked about externality. Now we want to talk about the externality that occurs in the cost of producing a product. That is what we need to talk about here. So we have the production externalities, which means there's a difference between the cost of production and the social cost of production and the private cost of production. So here they said negative externalities of production or negative production externalities. These occurs when social costs are greater than private costs in the production of goods or the production of goods or provision of services. So when you have, we already said here that social cost is external cost plus private cost. So whenever the social cost is greater for production than the private cost of production, that is externalities, production externalities. Do we get it or not? There's production externalities or negative production externality. If your social cost of producing that product is more than the private cost of producing the product. If, because you have produced a product, the society is paying more as a result of your own production, it costs the society more. That is production externality. It's you producing, you are the one producing the product. So you are supposed to bear the loss or bear the cost. But if we that are not part of that action, are not part of the production process, are paying more in terms of the cost, that is what we call negative production externality. They gave an example here, said, an example is when the factory pumps polluted water into a river at no cost to itself. So that firm or that factory has polluted the water, but who is it going to affect? It's not going to affect them, but it's going to affect those that need the water. That is production externality. Clear? Then we have positive externalities of production, which is the same as positive production externalities. These occur when social costs are less than the private costs in production. So there is benefit here because the social cost that what we're gonna pay is less than what the firms that took the action are gonna pay. Do we get it? There's production externality positive and production externality is negative. It is negative when the social cost of production exceeds the private cost of production. Then there is positive production externality when the social cost is less than the private cost of production. Clear? Then we have consumption externalities. These arise when the social benefit of consumption differ from the private benefit of consumption. So now for consumption, that means what we are consuming. Because we consume that product or because we received that service, the social benefit is more to us than the firms that produce it. That is positive externalities of consumption. So when we have, we said here, that's positive, then there's negative, of course, when social benefits are less than private benefits in consumption. So if the social benefits of consuming is less than the private benefits of consuming, that is negative externality for consumption. There's production externalities and there's consumption externalities. Production externalities comes from those firms that are producing. Consumption externalities comes from we that are consuming. So we have when what we consume is more beneficial to us than those that produce it, is a positive production externality, consumption externality. But what is being produced that is more beneficial to us than to those that produce it, it becomes what? A negative production externality. Do we get it? There's cost, there's benefit. Benefit is the gain based on the actions of the firms. Cost is the cost, or it's what we have to pay for. That it's not, we don't want to pay for it, but we are